This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Jeff Malinoff, and with me, as always, is Mark Souza. We have to end the trade deadline talks today, but we still have some aftermath after our show ended. There were still some trades in the last, half hour of the trade deadline to talk about. And also, we have Rondo's stunning buzzer beater over the Celtics. We'll talk about what the outcome is of that and what could that lead for the future. And we also have some other news about other sports that we will get into later. But those are the main things we will discuss. First things first, trade deadline ending. The biggest one by far after our show ended, Markelle Fultz has been traded from Philadelphia to the Orlando Magic. And my question to you, Mark, right off the bat, is he officially a bust being traded?
Not officially a bust, but definitely a bust for Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, where would this team be right now if they would have drafted somebody like a Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell?
They might be first in the East.
Yeah, they probably don't trade for Tobias Harris. They might not trade for Jimmy Butler. It would change a lot of things, right?
But I think they would still be fine in the long run.
Oh yeah, I mean, they if they would have made the right pick there, I think they could be even further than they are now, even though they look good now. Even with that addition of Tobias Harris, which was a solid pickup for them, it still gives them a young, really good player on a rookie deal that they would actually be able to maybe have 5 really good players at this point, to be honest with you.
In the Philadelphia 76ers draft defense, he was coming out of college as a major shooter, as a major scorer, so it was, in theory, a smart pick because they needed that kind of scoring opportunity and a scoring option for their team. But it turned out not to be the case. He is extremely fragile as of right now. He was basically injured more times than he played, I feel like. Every time I saw him, he was usually on the bench.
Yeah, and I think it's bigger than just injuries, though, because I think if they really thought he was still going to be a stud, they wouldn't have traded him despite all the injuries.
I think it ran its course. I think that's what mainly it came from.
Yeah, I am worried about him though, because honestly, Orlando is a franchise I feel like players just go to
end
disappear.
Their career. Oh, disappear.
I mean, Orlando doesn't have the best track record of developing talent.
Orlando doesn't have a best track record, period, to be honest with you.
I mean, they have guys like, Aaron Gordon, but I don't know, man. What's the kid from Florida State that they have that they drafted?
I don't even know who you're talking about, to be honest with you.
Small forward.
I think I know. I don't remember his name. I think I know who you're talking about, though, but I'm blanking on who it is.
They couldn't develop Elfrid Payton. He was one of the players. I don't know if that's the right spot for him. Mo Bamba, he's on the injury. He might not play the rest of the season. I'm talking about Jonathan Isaac. That's what I was talking about.
That sounds right.
He had a lot of potential. He's kind of just, I don't know, sifting away there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is the best move for Markelle Fultz, honestly. I was kind of hoping that maybe he'd go somewhere like San Antonio, maybe get the under the right tutelage, right? Like under the right coach, for maybe the best option for him to get the most out of his career.
And for this trade, the 76ers did receive Jonathan Simmons, a 2020 first-round pick via the Thunder, and a future second-round selection. So they had to give up quite a bit.
A first and a second, right?
The 2020 first-round pick and then a future second-round selection.
Yeah, 2 picks I saw. So, Yeah, no, the Magic are taking a risk, but, probably a good risk for them to take because they are the Orlando Magic, and I think if you can ever make a low risk, high upside trade like that, it makes total sense.
Absolutely. And there wasn't the only kind of a trade that was interesting me. Also, we missed the Greg Monroe trade to the Nets.
Which sounds like he'll be bought out.
Yeah. They got a 2021 second round pick out of it. Raptors, it's still in future considerations what they're going to acquire from that. But still an interesting switch there. Just Greg Monroe used to be a top player at one point. I feel like, well, maybe not a top player, but still he was a relatively good starter at one point in his career.
Yeah, he is, I think, a model of how the NBA is transitioning. Players like him are no longer valuable compared to other types of centers.
Yeah. That's really all that happened after our show ended. Obviously, we talked about how Marc Gasol is now a Raptor, which puts the Raptors in a win a championship now kind of scenario because they got rid of a lot of future and a lot of young talent for him. But understandably, he is a guy that can still go and can still be a big addition to a team. So
that one's interesting because first I don't know. I wasn't really a big fan of the trade. I mean, they didn't really give up much, but I mean, I just didn't know. But I am very interested to see how he fits in with the team. I know a lot of people are excited about it. I believe I'm more skeptical on this trade than most are, but
is it the age?
I don't know. It's not the age. He's a very smart player, good player, and I think he can fit in anywhere. But I wonder if this is a move that really sets them apart. You know what I mean? Like, is it a move, or is it like, okay, now Toronto looks like they're the team to beat? I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see on it.
Well, yeah, definitely. When he plays his first game in a Raptors uniform, we will see how that goes. But I'm still putting them I don't think this puts them out of like one of the top teams, two teams in the East by a long shot. I think they're still all right for the time being. I don't think this sets them back at all. Do you think it sets them back at all, or no? And they have to wait. You say?
I gotta wait and see. I want to see how these players acclimate. I mean, honestly, I think Tobias Harris is a bigger get for the Sixers than Gasol is for the Raptors. And we'll talk about the Celtics as we talk about last night's game upcoming. But I do feel like the Celtics are considerably behind at this point to the Bucks, who also made a great move. Here's the thing. I think Mirotic is a bigger get than Gasol, honestly, because I think Mirotic stretches the floor. Not that Mirotic is a better player than Gasol, but I think his impact will be felt more than Gasol because I really thought that Valanciunas was a decent player. It's not that Gasol's not good, but they're similar roles. But Mirotic gives the Bucks something that defenses just have to account for.
I understand what you're saying.
I mean, he's a top 10 3 points per game player in the NBA. Like, that guy is a perfect stretch for what Giannis wants to do, and that's get to the lane, be a playmaker, get inside, kick the ball out. Mirotic is going to be spotted. If Mirotic is getting 3 or 4 open looks from downtown a game, I mean, you can just pencil that in for 9 or 12 points a game right there, just on those shots alone.
Right. And obviously, those are like the main moves that happen. And if I'm going to be completely honest, when I heard Gasol and Conley were going to be traded, I thought they were going to be in a package deals type of scenario. I thought they would go together to a team.
Well, Conley turned down a trade to the Utah Jazz. So with that said,
pretty gutsy, honestly, because that's a playoff team, and I guess he supposedly he wanted to play for an Eastern team, but we really don't know what the actual reasoning is for why he said no, because there could be a million other reasons behind the surface that we don't know. So I guess we'll see how he does as if when they play in Utah again, which I'm assuming they are. I could be wrong though. How he's going to get reaction in Utah? I don't think he's going to be very much liked there after rejecting a trade.
Yeah, I don't know how many more times they might play each other the rest of this season.
I'm assuming at least one more time in Utah, at least, right? That's a good guess.
I have no idea. I mean, a lot of teams at this point only in the same conference, maybe only have one more meeting. It might not even be at that arena. Who knows? I haven't checked their schedule, but yeah. So who do you think is the biggest winner at the trade deadline in the NBA?
That's a tough one because there were, like I said, a lot of moves. But I can tell you a loser is the LA Lakers.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers lost big time.
All they got was Mike Muscala, and they traded Zubac.
I think that was relatively a failure for the first LeBron James era trade deadline because not only did they miss out on Anthony Davis, they traded a pretty progressive player in Zubac, in my opinion, for a guy who I think I think Zubac has a better upside in the long run.
They get a little bit better shooting with Mike Muscala, but Zubac's probably better long term. The Lakers also traded Michael Beasley in that trade, but I think the Clippers are a big winner. I know that they essentially gave up on the season.
Mm-hmm. They got rid of Avery Bradley, but if you looked at
they now have 2 max slots.
Mm-hmm.
They have a couple good young players, and they've set themselves up nicely for the future. They are the best run team in LA. I mean, Jerry West is just killing it right now, while Magic Johnson seems to be sitting on his hands. So the Clippers, man, be on the lookout for them because I think they'll probably land maybe Kawhi Leonard. What if they're able to land Kawhi and I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but if they were able to get a Jimmy Butler there,
even a Kyrie,
man,
I don't think Anthony. Excuse me. I don't think a Kevin Durant's going to go there. But again, you never know in these circumstances. He might be so upset with the media that he just goes there out of spite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but we'll see how that all turns out. But yeah, I do agree with you. The Clippers did a lot of things right when it came to the trade deadline. They kind of gave up this season, but it looks like for the next couple of years they should be in a contention for sure.
Yeah.
They are looking long-term at this, definitely.
Yeah, I like the long game they're playing, but obviously that won't help them today as, they lost last night and they're going to continue to tumble out of the playoff standings, but they don't care. They're going to get their first-round pick back, which will probably be, somewhere around 10 to 12, most likely. Maybe better, depending on how much they go down. And
since with the new draft lottery percentages, you never know. They could get up in the top 5 for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, it would take quite a bit for them to...
well, there's been more on... remember the Bulls had a 1.7% chance game, number 1 pick, and they got Derrick Rose. So anything can happen.
So... yeah, but I think other than that, I think Philly is a big winner of Tobias Harris. I just think...
And getting rid of Markelle Fultz, I think he wasn't going to be good.
Yeah, but to me, that doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, they get a pick. That could be something cool. That could be great for them, actually, which is not bad at all. But in terms of their chances this year, man, that's a good lineup. That 4 right there is very tough. Plus, you add in Redick. That lineup looks very daunting. When you have Embiid, Harris... Butler, Ben Simmons, and J.J. Redick. That is a really good 5. That is a very good shooting.
That's trust in the process for you.
That team might be the best team in the East. They just might.
We'll see if they get over that hump and get first place, but they still have a lot of challenges above them when it comes down to the East due to the Bucks and the Raptors. And even we don't know how the Celtics are going to be in the future. They might be a better team at the end of the season going into the playoffs.
Celtics have some big crossroads this offseason because if Kyrie doesn't re-sign, they're not able to sign another free agent. And at that point, they'd be relying on a big trade with Anthony Davis probably. And if they do that, then they're going to eliminate a lot of their players. So they're going to take a step back for sure. It's all based on Kyrie. If Kyrie leaves, they're cash-strapped. They can't go get another player like that. So
from a team that looked like they were going to be great for years on end to now in serious jeopardy of just being in the bottom of the barrel so quickly in relevancy, it's really a tough thing to take a hit on.
The Sixers, I mean, Tobias Harris is a free agent, but they're able to re-sign him if they agree. So is Butler, and I feel more confident about their future. Raptors, it all depends on Kawhi Leonard. Milwaukee's really the one team in the East that looks solid in their future because Giannis is committed to them. So if you look at it, all the top teams in the East have serious question marks, but none more than the Raptors and the Celtics because of Kawhi Leonard and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. And the East is getting like, we always talk about the West now, it's more like the better conference, but the East gets more and more interesting as the years go on for sure.
Harrison Barnes to Sacramento was a big deal in terms of the Western Conference playoff race. If the Clippers are moving out, it kind of opens the door for the Lakers, Sacramento, possibly Minnesota. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but Harrison Barnes brings a veteran leadership to a very young Sacramento team. He has experience. He's won a championship. It is a big deal for a team that young and that limited in playoff experience.
And I think the main thing about that is how it all went down. I think that's just the main story about that is because he was in the game putting in minutes as he was traded.
But beyond that, beyond the shock and awe of it, it is going to be interesting to see how he fits in with that team because look at the Kings roster. They really don't have any playoff experience on that entire roster. Is there anybody on that team that's ever played in a playoff game?
Not that I know of.
Other than Bogey playing in the Euro League, playing in the playoffs
that
there.
doesn't count.
Well, I mean, it counts a little bit, but no, nobody has real professional playoff experience other than probably him. Maybe Kufus, but he doesn't really play. There's a couple of guys on the bench that don't see minutes. But yeah, they also brought in Corey Brewer, so yeah, he's played a little bit in the playoffs. But other than that, Alec Burks also another addition. So I guess you could see kind of why maybe the Kings made the moves the way they did to bring in some veterans that can help them down the road. But it's going to be interesting because the Lakers, they win last night, and they're right on the heels of Sacramento. Rondo stuns Boston, and it
little
looked
revenge in his mind.
Yeah, a big day for him going back to Boston and, putting the dagger in him. It must have felt great for him. Obviously, the celebration on the court was pretty intense, I would say. The Celtics looked like they had the game won. The ball gets tipped out, and Rondo, of all people, turns and hits a jump shot as time expires. So I feel like, Jeff, that was a huge win for the Lakers. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's a good sign of things to come. They needed this win to prove they can still be in contention.
They just lost by 46 points, so I thought it was very good for them to get that bad taste out of their mouth.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just again, from a terrible trade deadline for the Lakers and an abject failure, it's one of those things in where they needed this win to prove they can still be in contention.
Yeah. They're in a tough middle of their schedule right now, and I feel like if they would have been on a losing streak into the All-Star break, I feel like that could have been something that kind of festered along. But, wins, they can hide a lot of things. And of all the bad feelings that maybe some of the Laker fans or some of the Laker players have had over the course of the last few days, week or so, wins, they bury that kind of stuff. It puts that stuff. It's when you start losing, then things start kind of snowballing. But that was a big win for them. It changes their focus, I think, and it puts the Lakers back into a good mentality, a healthy LeBron. And, I thought they played well. It was a good game last night, very high scoring. That was fun.
It was a very fun game to watch. It was close to the very end, and that's what's most exciting about it. So, very good game to watch. But let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis, definitely.
Westbrook.
Yeah, well, just about the All-Star draft in general, probably.
Yep.
But first, I want to talk to you about investing, because when investing and planning for your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings for the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make up to 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window. So once again, want to take advantage? Go to www.harrydentforecast.com. www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Just finished talking about the trade deadline and all that good stuff. Now, moving on to the All-Star Game draft that took place yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yes, it was.
And, well, we have our official lineups, but one of the biggest shockers to me about this is not really who got picked, but there was a trade.
Yeah, what about the way that it went down, though? How LeBron picked the all-tampering team before the trade.
Yeah, Giannis kind of had a little joke about that.
I mean, he picked Durant. He picked Anthony Davis. Like, he picked Kyrie Irving. I mean, you know that there's nothing that LeBron does that's by accident. Everything he does is calculated. And, I mean, look at his team. Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Those are.
I think people are reading too much into this.
No, not at all, man. Did you watch it?
I did, but it's. I mean,
he's obviously poking fun, but he didn't. This wasn't by accident. If that's what you're getting at.
I wasn't saying it was by accident. I know he wanted to pick those guys, but it's not like an underlying. I don't think there's anything really super like, oh, this is gonna be what he's going for or something of that nature. It's not really anything important to me.
Is it just a coincidence that he had all the free agents upcoming picked on his team?
There's a lot of them, though. Can't really blame him on that one.
Man. I thought that was funny. Yeah, it was cool, though. Obviously, he was pressed about Anthony Davis when he picked him, and he said, oh, you like to be
that was one that I thought was just all fun and games at the moment. I thought that was pretty funny at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was fun. It was good TV. The NBA, I think, really won yesterday because a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people watched it. And I think it's a format that they'll continue going forward, or they'll, they'll go forward.
Well, here's how it all went down. The first pick was Kevin Durant by LeBron James, which is actually kind of surprising to me. That I expected like Harden or something.
Yeah, but Harden's not a free agent.
I see what you did there. But Durant gets picked first. He probably was insulted somehow.
Then Curry got picked.
Not surprising. Giannis was vouching for that was going to happen. That was going to be his first pick regardless. Then Kyrie became the third pick. A very interesting one. But, yeah, again, free agent. You're going to make these points throughout the entire day. Then I love this one by Giannis. He picks Joel Embiid. Them two together is a great combination. And then LeBron goes with Kawhi Leonard. I see why people assume this. Don't get me wrong. I see why people are suspecting this. Because, honestly, I think one of my first picks would have been Harden. I would have picked a third instead of Kyrie. I probably would have picked Harden if I'm LeBron. But I understand why everyone is assuming he picked Kyrie. And they also patched up and they're buddy-buddy now. Giannis then with Paul George, who might be MVP candidacy again this season. And then James Harden gets picked with the 7th pick, and then no surprising, Kemba is the last one selected out of the starters. Then it gets a little interesting. I think that the reserves is what is most interesting to me. Chris Middleton is the first reserve picked.
Yeah, because teammate.
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. But
And then who did LeBron take? AD.
Yeah, we kind of already talked about how that one
And then
went
who
down.
did Giannis take?
Jokic, which I think should have been had a Middleton, but I understand teammates.
And then who did LeBron take?
Klay Thompson. Then this is what happens. Is gets weird. There was a trade. I think.
Well, it was after the fact.
Was it afterwards?
It was after the fact.
Okay, I couldn't really remember, but I remember. So 13th pick was Ben Simmons.
All I know is, man, is that Giannis is a terrible picker of teams. How does one team be so one-sided in an All-Star game? I have no idea. I don't know. That's my opinion. I personally think LeBron's team is way better. And that doesn't mean they'll win. I mean, because it's an All-Star game, everybody likes to screw around. But like, if these two teams actually played, I don't even think Giannis' team might win one in a 7-game series.
I think I have to disagree with that. I think the Giannis team is a lot better than what you give him credit for.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so. But just looking at the starters alone, wouldn't you rather have Team LeBron?
I don't know. I like the two big men of Embiid and Giannis down low. I like George. I really like Steph. Kemba, I would have.
Kemba's easily the worst player of the starters, though.
He shouldn't be a starter, in my opinion, but regardless.
But then if you look at the bench, man, like Team LeBron's bench is way better. I mean, Middleton, Jokic, Westbrook, Griffin, Russell, Vucevic, Kyle Lowry, or Davis, Thompson, Lillard, Simmons, Aldridge, Towns, Beal. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's about bench players. Yeah, I would go LeBron. But if I had to move Kemba out of the starting lineup, which he should still not be a starter, in my opinion.
Put in Westbrook?
Probably. And then Kemba would be I see Kemba can be a bad reserve, no doubt, but not a starter, in my opinion.
Yeah. Dwayne Wade is on LeBron's team, of course, because
Dirk
he got
and
to
Wade,
pick.
I know Dirk and Wade should not be in the All-Star game, but I get why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, whatever. It's tipping the cap to a couple legendary players who are retiring, so it makes sense. It's all good.
Yeah,
you don't need to be so mean about it,
I wasn't mean about it.
Well, you're like, oh, they shouldn't be in. Nah.
Well, that takes away from younger guys, is what I'm saying.
Well, they didn't take any spot away. They just added them to the roster. So, but yeah, I mean,
and I don't sound like I didn't.
Well, you were like totally Scrooging the place up, like, oh, these guys shouldn't be there.
Not at all. But you can say whatever you want to say.
I sure can.
And it doesn't matter if it's completely wrong.
Hey, you know what? Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. So.
Your own stupid opinion, got it. But I still I didn't even know you could when they talked about Russell and Simmons being traded. I was like, wait, can they do that? Was that? I know it's all fun games. I was just so confused. I'm like,
I mean, it's never been done before.
Yeah, I was just confused. I'm like, wait, what's going on right now? Like, why didn't you just pick Russell Westbrook in the? It just was all didn't make much sense at the time, because it just came. It was just like, okay, we're doing a trade. Why? Just okay.
Probably helped out Giannis a little bit.
Yeah,
with that trade.
I don't even know how it all went down at the end. I was just like, okay, I guess they're just talking about it. I thought they were joking at first, and then all of a sudden it happened. I'm like, oh, okay.
So one thing that came out in NBA news yesterday that I found interesting is Anthony Davis obviously didn't get traded, but the Pelicans say that they will play him for the rest of the season, that he will play.
Is he not going to be liked in New Orleans this season?
Yeah.
Is he public enemy number one besides
besides
NFL referees?
I know that there is a lot of mixed emotions regarding Anthony Davis at this moment in time. But I feel like this is the wrong move for the Pelicans franchise. Yeah, I might sell a couple more tickets the last 30 games. And I understand the NBA. I think the NBA was pressuring the Pelicans into playing Anthony Davis. They don't want to see one of their best players not be on the court. Like, that's a bad look for the league. But if you're a franchise, Anthony Davis is going to help you win games. And they don't want to win games, right? They don't want to win games. So I don't know, man. I think this is completely the wrong move. There's also the fact that he could get injured at any time, and then he just completely ruins his trade value if he suffers any sort of a halfway major injury. Like, if he tears a ligament, if he tears an Achilles, if he, I don't know, breaks a bone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is your opinion about that? What do you think about their decision to say they will play Anthony Davis in a normal capacity for the rest of the season?
I think it's more along to like just you don't want that kind of guy being on your bench because of the fact that like I don't know.
Would you play him if you were the owner of the Pelicans? Like, would you say you're playing Anthony Davis, or would you say no, we're going to send him home because we're looking at our future and we don't care about the next 30
I think
games?
it's more about more about selling tickets more than anything else in this situation. But I don't know if those will even sell tickets, to be honest.
They don't even sell tickets. Like, they don't. They're one of the worst selling teams in the NBA with Anthony Davis. So, like, yeah, I mean, obviously they'll sell less. I mean, obviously, but what would you do?
I think some people are going to pay just to boo him. You know what I mean?
Well, what would you do if you were the owner, though? Would you sit Anthony Davis? Would you send him home for the rest of the year, or would you tell the coach to play him?
I would have a sit down with Anthony Davis and say, okay, how do you want to go about this, and just try to work it out as together.
Really? So his opinion would actually matter to you, even though he's telling you that he doesn't want to play for your team anymore.
I'm a team player.
But he's saying he's not.
I know, but I'm still going to try to work with him.
Gotcha. So if you were the owner, you'd say
I'm not one of these owners that go up yours. I'm not going to talk to you. Like I'm not Cleveland's owner who is going to hate.
That wouldn't be if the Pelicans say Anthony Davis home. It wouldn't be because
I understand that. I understand that.
It would be because they're being smart.
I understand that, but I'm just more along lines of just like, okay, I just want to try to work with you best I can before we go our separate ways.
Yeah.
Just end on good terms.
So if he was like, look, I still want to be traded. I'm not going to sign a long-term deal with you, but I'd like to play the rest of the season, you'd say, okay?
Yeah, I want to end on good terms with him. Just in case one day he might end up back here.
Back. It ain't LeBron.
I'm just saying one, maybe, possibly.
I didn't say the Pelicans, man, and he's not from there. Like, he's not coming back. When he leaves, peace, deuces, you know?
Yeah, but I still want a good relationship with players that leave my team because they can say so much crap once it's all said and done, and that hurts my team in the long run.
But it doesn't bother you that he's saying, I don't want to play for this franchise, I don't believe in this
it would
franchise?
bother me, but I'm going to be professional about it.
Right. Well, would it be unprofessional to send him home? I'm just kind of...
Oh, no. I'm just saying I would react in a professional, understanding, calm way is what I'm saying.
Right. I'm just a little confused, though. You can act in a professional, calm way and say, hey, we like you. Thank you for what you've done. But, hey, we're looking at our future, and it's best for our future if you don't play, right? Like, you could do that in a professional way, too, right?
Yeah. This is what I would do, so it doesn't matter what other people would do. You're saying if I was in his shoes, this is what I would do.
If you were in the owner's shoes, you'd just play him, and if you won some games and screwed up your draft pick, it wouldn't bother you too much.
Not really, no, because it's all that matters how the trade goes down, all said and done, and you're going to be looking for more draft picks.
But what if he gets hurt? That was part of what I was saying. What if he screws your entire value is what I'm saying. I'm
going to play him, but I'm limiting his minutes for sure. I'm not going to say he's going to play 40 minutes a game, maybe 20 if anything, but I'm still – because it's also like if he sets out the whole game, I know people are still going to want to be trading him, but I'd be like maybe people are going to be hesitant, if anything, like, oh, you didn't play him this whole season. He could be like – so stiff in theory. I don't know. They could try to lowball me, but if you played as a high-low throughout the whole season, then he's still more of a commodity.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be weird, I think, if team was to say that. They're going to get a lot for him if he stays healthy, even if he doesn't play. But that's the thing, right? Like, he's fragile. He gets hurt all the time.
And if he plays this season and doesn't get hurt, it shows that he is getting better and not being fragile also. So it's almost like
he's already missed 10 games in a row. Like right now he's missed 10 games in a row. Like he hasn't played
most of those games was because he asked for a trade, I think, at the end of the day.
Maybe the last two, but he was hurt for a couple weeks. He does have that hand injury. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like Pelicans they can do whatever they want, but man, they could really destroy their franchise if this goes south. Like if he gets injured, because he is by far the only thing they have going for them, and he's not signing there long term. if they ends up being where they don't get a big return for him, that would be absolutely devastating. And maybe the type of mistake that would ruin their franchise. Like it's truly possible. We're not talking about the Lakers or the Knicks or like a brand that like is, that can't be destroyed, because the Pelicans are not a strong NBA franchise. This could go south.
I can definitely see them moving within the next 5 years if this doesn't go well.
Yeah, it's going to be shaky this year. We'll see.
We might see the Pelicans as the Seattle Supersonics.
I wonder what they will do. It is interesting to see what they do minutes-wise, because they say they'll play him in a normal capacity. I want to know. I mean, obviously they're not going to overplay him, but does that mean they'll underplay him too, or does that mean he'll still play his 34 minutes a night?
Well, when he plays again, we will know, because his first game will be a reference to how the whole season will go.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, we should go to a break, but I want to tell you about investing and planning for your retirement. It's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months, according to the research of renowned Harvard economist Harry Dent, though. This window could slam shut later this year, and nobody on Wall Street is expecting it. This dark window is something bigger by far than anything he's predicted up to this point, and you can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window, so go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast, finishing up today. There was a little incident with the MVP of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, the other day, him playing basketball. And the owner, I would say, was overreacting.
What happened? Tell the listeners what happened.
He basically said he's not allowed to play basketball or any sport type of thing anymore in the offseason. He basically has limited his quarterback to not doing anything when it comes to, I guess, physical activities. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe he's also saying you can't have sex anymore. You might hurt something there. I don't know. This guy
seems like a little bit too far. No,
I think he's already gone too far. He's limiting what he could do. I understand you're a little hesitant, but
this isn't any different than like what almost every other athlete has in his contract, though, right? I mean, most players have where they're not allowed to participate in like recreational sports outside of.
It
their
just
sport.
seemed like through one little video of him playing basketball, it was a big overreaction, in my opinion.
Okay. So you think that the owner is wrong here, or
I understand what he's
doing.
I understand what he's doing, but you can limit it, but don't like completely disregard he cannot do this. Like, I don't know. I just, like I said, I would want him to be happy as possible. If I'm limiting what he can do outside off the field, I feel like he would resent that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the GM talked to Patrick Mahomes and said, hey, man, you're breaking a lot of ankles out there. Just make sure you don't break your own. I don't think we need that. So, obviously, they're trying to protect their biggest asset, their biggest prize. and their best player. I don't know. Where do you draw the line if you're a general manager or an owner when it comes to what your players can do outside?
If he was doing something crazy like jumping on a trampoline, doing like backflip dunks, then I would say,
wasn't it Tom Brady who did like jumped off big cliffs last year? I think it was Tom Brady.
Yeah, if he was doing that, I'd be like, okay, can you take it easy a little bit because anything could happen. He was dribbling a basketball and doing juke moves, like. It was seemed like through the video itself, it looked like it was pretty harmless what he was doing. If he was doing like those guys that jump off the trampoline and do like backflips into dunks like during like breaks during a quarter or something like that or timeout breaks, like if he was doing that, I would get it. But it seemed pretty darn harmless what he was doing for that reaction to and that all that.
Would you allow your players to play recreational sports?
I would just say take it easy.
Right, but
I'm not going to say straight up no. I feel like
it's kind of hard sometimes to just take it easy, though, right? Because like a lot of people are super competitive, in what they do.
But I'm like, if you just shoot around, fine. But he was just dribbling basketball. I know he's like 1-on-1 with somebody, but it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal to me. Mm-hmm. If he was like playing like a full like with NBA with professional athletes and going hard, then I'd be like, okay, maybe take it easy. But it looked like he was just playing with some friends. Like,
I mean, it was definitely like a pickup game.
But it wasn't like professional. It
wasn't pro athletes, but I mean, it was like what you'd see at the local gym or like the local, well, here we have California Family Fitness, so something like that, right? So, but it is a discussion though, right? But when you write these contracts, I mean, it's in his contract that he's not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I just think that how it all went down seemed like an overreaction, how it all played out at the end of it. But that's just my opinion.
Gotcha. Frank Robinson passed away yesterday, a Major League Baseball legend, former MVP, former manager, first black manager, actually, in the history of Major League Baseball. So, somebody who is a pillar in this game. Mm-hmm. He dies at 83. He is the only player, I did not know this, but he is the only player to win MVP in both leagues.
That is impressive.
Very impressive.
And still the only.
Outfielder and first baseman. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1982. So he's 10th on the career home runs list with 586. He won the Triple Crown with the Orioles in 1966 and became the first black manager in Major League history when he managed the 1975 Cleveland Indians. He also served as Major League Baseball's Executive Vice President of Baseball Development, and he had a focus on increasing African-American participation in the sport. He later served as a senior advisor to Commissioner Rob Manfred. So, Robinson...
He's a legend, absolutely.
He was born in Texas, but he grew up in Oakland, California. I wonder if we'll see the AAs maybe do something for him this year. I would assume that would be a big focus.
Way to go, Raiders.
But yeah, it is a loss for Major League Baseball. He won his first MVP in 1961 when he helped the Reds win their first pennant in 21 years.
It's crazy to think because my dad was like 2 years old at that time.
Mm-hmm. It is a while ago, huh?
Yeah, and he's like that's how much impact he's had on like the whole baseball and like being MVP of 2 leagues, never been done since. First black manager, which is a huge accomplishment also. Like, he's done some revolutionary things, definitely.
He came off a 33 home run, 113 RBI season for the Reds. And
how many home runs?
33 homer, 113 RBI.
I thought you said 100-something home runs. I'm like, excuse me?
And he was 30 years old at the time, and owner Bill DeWitt said that he was getting old and shipped him to Baltimore. In return, Cincinnati received a pitcher and 2 other players, and none of those players did anything of note in their careers. In his first season in Baltimore, Robinson he had plenty left in the tank and won the AL MVP.
So it was a steal.
Yes. So he came off a 33 homer, 113 RBI season and followed it up, maybe a little bit of revenge here with Baltimore, with a 49 home run, 122 RBI season. Nice.
Oh, Jesus.
That was in 1961, by the way.
Talk about getting it.
Or 1966, excuse me. That's
about
impressive,
getting
man.
It done, man.
So, our thoughts go out to Frank Robinson and the Robinson family. Obviously, somebody who will not be forgotten in this sport. One of the pioneers, I would say. I mean, being not only winning the MVP in 2 sports, but being the first black manager, that is an on and off the field accomplishments for this guy. So
Absolutely.
Good stuff there. Sticking in baseball, did you see that we had some movement yesterday? JT Real Muto got traded from the Marlins. He had been on the block. He got traded to the Phillies. So what do you think about that? An interdivision trade between for an all-star catcher.
It sounds like something the Marlins would do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how
they did get catcher. In return, they got Jorge Alfaro and pitching prospects Sixto Sanchez and Will Stewart. Sixto Sanchez is is somebody to keep an eye on. He is one of the notable minor league players, prospects that there is in baseball. So maybe the Marlins will come out the better end. But yeah, it is always interesting when you trade an all-star inside the division.
It's a risky thing to do. Also,
Real Muto is only 27.
You're going to see him a lot.
Mm-hmm. So now will Philly follow up with this with maybe a Bryce Harper signing? Maybe Manny Machado? You know, they're still in on them.
Maybe they're going to go, you know what? We did it. We won the offseason. Let's just stop it here. No, I'm kidding, obviously.
It's like, didn't the GM say, like, we're going to be extremely active or whatever? Like, he just says,
that's
hey,
the most
this is what we
active
meant.
Thing yeah, exactly. That one thing. This one, yeah.
All right, I got a question for you. Will Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, will either of them sign a contract this weekend?
If God is real, then yes.
If there is a God,
yeah,
then it will happen.
Yeah, but I'm hesitant
so
about
Monday
that now.
comes, no signing, no God.
Do you think Machado and Harper love trolling people without like saying a word about any of this?
You think they signed like a month ago and like
they just haven't? No, you know how fast that team would say, "We got him."
Hey man, I'm still saying they should.
They're being meeting with other teams, so that would just be the ultimate troll.
Remember my recommendation? What they should do? They should still have the decision, man. They should still do it MLB style. You know.
I think they would get. I would.
Would you watch it this weekend?
I would watch just to say, like, finally, just make up your damn mind.
So
you know?
if I told you, Jeff, next Saturday, I'm going to give you a week to prepare. Next Saturday, 5:00 Pacific Standard Time, Manny Machado and Bryce Harper are doing a dual episode, The Decision Part 1 and Part 2 on ESPN from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Are you...
Absolutely, I'm watching.
Yeah,
that.
You're sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah. Because I'm so frustrated saying, like, just make up your decision already. I want to know who you're going to play for. And I think that's what people are going to just do. They're going to watch just out of frustration because they have no idea.
God, Bryce Harper could be hated like LeBron was, too, right after the decision. Because everybody likes to hate Bryce Harper, you know?
But the thing is, we don't know where he's going to go. We didn't really know where...
Speaking of hating, though, Machado, everybody hates him, too, right?
Well, Machado's done some dirty things.
Well, they're both polarizing figures.
Mm-hmm. But Machado has been... He has had a sensitive reaction to a lot of things. Remember that one thing he got tagged as he was running at third base?
Yeah, and he got mad.
Like, why was he so upset about that? That was like, it was like, I'm hitting him in a very light tag.
Somebody dared to tag him out.
And he threw his helmet at him like he hit him like with like an elbow.
And then we had last year.
And then that's when I started to go like, wow, he's kind of a jerk in reality. Like,
and then last year we had the Harper fight.
That was awesome. Well, okay, he got thrown at.
Yeah, for sure.
That was history
There's
there.
some history.
Yeah, but then Machado tries to take out one of the guy's legs during the NLCS. Like, what is that all about?
That brawl, though? Okay, hold on. I want to go back to that Harper.
That was an awesome fight. That was one of my favorite fights.
Because the reason why it was like the best fight I've ever seen was because...
Punches were actually thrown?
Because 3 dudes with awesome hair all collided with each other at the pitching mound, and it was like a Pantene Pro V commercial.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. Strickland got some good shots in.
Not only that, but it was
and
like...
I give Harper the credit for standing up.
When they showed the slow-mo, I was like, man, is this like a Garnier commercial? Like, is this Pantene Pro V? Because we see this hair. We see Harper's hair. We see Samardzija. Who was the other one? Michael Morris?
Hunter Strickland no longer on the Giants, maybe that's why they met with him. They're like, hey, we don't have this jerk you don't like.
They're
with us anymore.
like, hey, this guy no longer plays for us. So what do you say? What do you say?
And in reality, Hunter Strickland is terrible. I've always thought that watching him play, because I saw a lot of reliefs by him and closing by him, and he just can't. He is not a closer. He
throws
not
101 mile an hour, and he usually lands in the out off the wall or outside the wall. So
yeah, exactly. Like if you watch especially during I remember clearly 2016 in the NLDS, the Giants were winning by multiple runs going into I believe
where
the
Harper
eighth.
hit it to the moon. Is that what you're talking about?
That was regular season, I believe.
No, I was talking about the 18-inning game between the Giants and Harper, where that
was Brandon Belt,
or the few. Well, yeah, before that.
So,
oh,
during the regular.
Well, in that game, Harper hit the home run.
That was before extra innings.
Yes.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that ball is still not landed. By the way.
Yeah.
That was in 2014.
Yeah.
I was talking about in 2016 when they played the Cubs. And the Giants were ahead in runs, and they were going to have Cueto pitch the next game in Game 5, which was like, oh, the Giants might actually pull this off. Then they put in Strickland, and he gave up 4 runs, and they lost.
Yep.
That's where I was like, this guy's the worst reliever.
Special.
That's why I was like, this guy's the worst reliever in baseball. And going off of that, that fight was awesome. But Machado has he goes after guys with no, reason. I understand why Harper was going after him, because it looked like he was clearly trying to hit him. And so, but Machado just seems more, he doesn't need a motive, it feels like.
So the top prospects in college football look like they will be attending the Combine, at least as of now. We saw Bosa, Murray, Haskins, Rashawn Gary, Quentin Williams. It looks like they're all going. Josh Allen. Are you surprised that they're all going, or are you?
Well, I said Bosa was going to go. I said a lot of these guys were going to go. So no.
Do you think that all of them will actually go? Because there's still time. There's 3 weeks before they actually go. So do you think they'll all stay committed, or do you think some will back out? Because usually we see players back out.
Yeah, maybe, but as of right now, I see a lot of them maybe limiting themselves in the Combine, but I think at least doing most in the Combine. Mm-hmm. Especially Murray. I think Murray needs to prove a lot in the Combine, because he's still a big question mark.
Yeah, everybody's going to be focused on what he measures at, right? Like him getting on the scale and him getting in front of that board, the height is going to prove a lot to a lot of people, right or wrong, or people are going to feel the way they feel because of how he measures up.
Oh wow, Kyle Murray, what was his measurement? I missed it. Oh, he's at 5'4". Wait, what?
If he's
then he needs to prove a lot during the Combine itself.
If he's 5'4", he's playing for the Oakland A's next year.
Let's see, it does during the Combine. What if he runs a 4 flat?
Playing for the Oakland A's next year.
Really? Well, how tall was Sproles?
He could run. He could run a 4 flat if he's 5'4". Yeah, but Sproles is like a little bowling ball. You know, He's built good. He's built. He's like a little hedgehog. You know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's our show for today. Join us on Monday as we recap this weekend. There's some good basketball action.
Let's hope to God there's a signing in baseball.
There probably will not be a signing in baseball, but we will continue to talk about that non-signing until there is a signing, and then we'll talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll move on. Spring training is upcoming. Also, UFC 234 is this weekend. Pay-per-view event, Whitaker, Gastelum. Also, Anderson Silva's back. He'll be fighting Israel Adesanya. That is an interesting fight. That could be a title. I guess the winner could be the next contender for the title. So we will follow up on that on Monday. So enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you later.
Have a good day, everybody.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.